Hello, Capricorns. How's it going? We're going to do a random tarot reading. And I don't know what this reading is going to be about. This could be finances, career, love, the new job you're looking for, whatever it is. And whoever it's for, I hope it makes it to you. But we're going to find out together because I am shuffling it right in front of you. So let's see what's going on here. My name is Lindsay, by the way. I do Gnostic tarot reading in line with the instructions that Arthur Edward Waite gave and published in and around 1910 when he wrote the book, The Pictorial Key to the Tarot. I tend to sometimes break out into song and sometimes I put on a funny accent. I can't help it, Captain. I can't help it. It's just the vibe of when I get into my intuitive state here. Okay, so right off the bat, I see a very interesting dynamic showing up. Two interesting dynamics here. One of the dynamics that I see, and let me zoom in so you guys can get a nice close-up view of these pictures. I see the Two of Cups energy is here, which is platonic connections, which can usually be associated to love, but there is a side of me that thinks that this is platonic in the sense of friendship first and foremost, which can lead to love. But there is a Eight of Pentacles energy here, which is usually like the mastery of something. But in the reversal, it's somebody trying to gain something, like master it, for some kind of a selfish reason. The Eight of Pentacles or the Eight of Coins in this deck, this is the last unicorn deck. It's based off of the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. And the Eight of Pentacles in the reversal, when Arthur Edward Waite gave the listing of that particular card and what it can be interpreted as, usury was one of the things that came up. Which means to get a job, or to get a career, or to borrow money from a friend, simply for the sole reason of trying to gain something that benefits you and doesn't really benefit other people. Now, that could be, yes, a love situation that you dealt with, but for some reason, a bunch of you, I feel like this energy is coming up because a friend has treated you like shit. Sorry to swear, but I really do get this vibe of like you wanting to have a sense of Ace of Cups happiness and fulfillment with a friend, but for some reason, somebody has used the other with the Eight of Pentacles. Sitting here with the Devil card, someone made a shitty, deviant, devilish decision to benefit their own selves because they are stressed out and because they're fearful. And with the Four of Swords in the reversal, they were doing it to try and help their own selves heal from something. Notice on this deck, the eyes are closed. It's symbolic reference not just to healing and sleepiness, but to ignorance. They couldn't see the potential larger consequences that it comes with being a friend that treats somebody like shit in this way. Now, some people do some really annoying things, but can be kind of not swept under the rug, but tolerated. It's when you start to see a person's true colors as being repetitively selfish is the vibe that I get from this, because the Devil card usually doesn't just happen once. It can become a very repetitive, obsessive, cyclical energy where a person's true colors have shown in the realm of usury, in doing things for their own selfish personal gain. A lot of people miss that about the Eight of Coins because it's the card called the Master to the Student. People think about education and learning something when it comes to this card, but when you are mastering something, even in education or career or skill set or as the team lead of a supervisor, if you're doing it with only your benefit, then and your gain and no one else, then it's stepping into the territory of the negative side of mastering something. It comes with that energy of usury. This also, when it comes to usury, it can very well be, because it's Pentacles energy there, it can be somebody who borrowed money was trying to master something for their own selves, they could have borrowed money and fucked off with the money. Pardon my French again for swearing. See, this person's energy got me all into sorts, you know? When someone starts taking stuff from you, even if it's not money, even if they're taking your energy, you know, you're just like, you feel like you've had enough. You've seen their colors. Damn, this makes me want to, you know, remove that negativity as much as I feel like for you guys, you should remove that negativity. But before we get into whether or not you should just remove this person from your life, what I'm going to do, because the Ace of Cups is here and because the Two of Cups are here, which are both very benevolent energies that indicate, especially the Ace of Cups, that after a period of time, a delay of sorts, there will be a better outcome that comes from this. I'm going to shuffle some more cards out and I'm going to ask a bit of a different question. This was, you know, the question geared to what's going on. But now let's look into what the heck is this person going to do about it? Like, is this going to get resolved? This person who is acting really selfish, who is supposed to be a friend, you know, why did they feel the need to gain something? What is it with their fears and their habits here and their ignorance that they behaved in a way? And if not friend, even like family members can do things like this. Like in-laws comes to mind for some reason. Cousins, right? People, there's a certain house in astrology, cousins, friends, neighbors, siblings, that sometimes this kind of thing happens. People forget to, you know, remember how friends should be treated and they take advantage. That's what it feels like. It feels like somebody took advantage for their own personal gain. And so, yeah, let's shuffle a little bit more. Let's see what's going on with what's going to happen with this situation. All right. And while I shuffle this, if I sound like I'm chewing on something all of a sudden, that's because my son, who I went Halloween trick-or-treating with last night, just came and gave me a Starburst. And it's probably going to get all stuck in my teeth because those ones are chewy. But, man, it tastes good when he gave it to me. I couldn't resist. Okay. We got the Queen of Swords here. Nine of Cups. I like that energy coming out. Oh, I see. Ten of Wands in the reversal. Second Ace of Wands. That's two aces. Both of them in the reversal came out in your reading. And the King of Wands in the reversal also. I think this there's positives to how this is going to go, but there's definitely some negatives to how this is going to go. Let me kind of get this in the view for you. Because people don't realize this. When you have two aces in the reversal position, I know people love aces. Every time someone hears of an ace, they're like, oh my gosh, new beginnings. Or they're like, oh my gosh, you have this raw, beautiful, brand new start because it's an ace, because it's number one. I'll tell you something most people don't realize. When Arthur Edward Waite created the most popular modern tarot deck that influences almost 98% of every single reader you see on YouTube right now, they don't realize he wrote an instruction booklet. And I will say this till the cows come home. You hear this every reading that I do for you guys. The importance of reading the instructions on cards and understanding the symbolism at the heart of the matter is so valuable. So much so that if you looked at the pictorial key to the tarot, written by Arthur Edward Waite in 1910 that gave the instructions, two aces in the reversals means enemies. Right, you wouldn't think that about the aces at all, would you? But aces are such raw energy. They're not just a new beginning. They're raw creative potential of the willpower. But in the reversal, it's so expansive that it's usually got more than one person trying to usurp, right? We're also talking usury here, trying to grab on to the benefit of that raw power. And so it can become an enemy situation. From friends to enemies. man. That's the vibe of this. That somebody genuinely looks like they are going to end up. Even the Queen of Swords is in the reversal. This is lying energy. Queen of Swords wants to cut through the bullshit. When it's in the reversal, they are lying and they are devious. In fact, a couple more aces and we'd get into the realms of trickery with this raw energy here. And so I do think that although this was a perceived friend, and there may be an avenue to resolve some of this, for the future portion, at least the short-term portion of what this person is going to do, they are continuing, or they will continue to be dishonest. King of Wands in the reversal, he tries to get what he wants. Usually, it's crazy because King of Wands gets a bad rep. He gets a rep as no commitment, in and out of your life, ungrounded. But again, read the instructions, man. Read the instructions. Arthur Edward Waite said in the upright position, King of Wands is a great guy. In the reversal, the word to describe him is good and austere, a formidable opponent, but a good and, a good yet severe king. So he's not a bad person, but he's freaking, he can be severe. He can be a formidable opponent. And in the case of being in the position connected with cards of enemies, he's not just a formidable opponent. He's a formidable enemy. The thing that's interesting, though, still, is that the Ten of Wands is here in the reversal. And the Ten of Wands is when you put down something like a friendship, and later on, when it's in the reversal, you go and pick that up. You try to reestablish something with this person. And it's right next to the Nine of Cups, so there's a part of me that thinks, although with the Hierophant card, he's blinded halfway, although you can't see the outcome yet, or even see how this is going to work out, a part of me still thinks that you do want, at least somewhere down the road, this to be resolved enough that you guys can actually be connected again. Resolved enough to be in a friendship and not be enemies and put things to the past. That's what it feels like. The problem is, first and foremost, there's blindness going on. This is the second card, along with the Four of Swords we saw earlier, where someone cannot see clearly what they're doing. But also the Hierophant card is a really wicked card, but deep. And I don't mean wicked as in evil. Well, there's sentiments of the Hierophant that can be, believe it or not, because it gets such a spiritual vibe, right? But when spirituality is repressed and, what's the word? I say it all the time in every reading practically that I do. Resisted against, that's the word, resistance. When there's resistance against spirituality, then you step into the realms of ignorance big time. And I feel like that's what's happening a little bit with this person, because here's Middle Ages, the story of the Middle Ages and the Crusades that I'm going to talk about, because you know me, I get into biology in the middle of these. I'll probably talk about biology in a second too. Science, history, when I do these readings. And when the Hierophant was described by Arthur Edward Waite, not in the main chunk of his instruction booklet, but in the introduction, he mentions that he absolutely does not believe that these cards, in their origin, not his deck, but the OG tarot cards, he doesn't believe they came from Egypt, China, or India. He says it is better understood that these cards are actually a symbolic language from a group of people who were using pictures to communicate with each other, called the Albigensians. And the Albigensians were the ones in the Crusades who were slaughtered. These were people who believed they were the true Christians, and the Catholic Church was like, hell no, we can't have people going around saying that there are actually other true Christians out there. Now, these Albigensians, they believed in the divine feminine. Yes, a group of Christians that actually believed what a lot of people are suspecting these days. See how the truth always resurfaces itself eventually down the road? They believed in the divine feminine, but they also believed that the God of the Old Testament was being manipulated and was not the ultimate deity. Whether they are right or wrong, that's not what I'm getting at. What I'm saying is there is a group of people, and this was their beliefs, and the symbology of the Hierophant to them, Hierophant, sorry about that. The Hierophant was the Pope. That's why the original tarot deck, it looks like the Pope, and it's called the Pope or Papa. The character of the Pope became the mouthpiece of the Empire of Rome, and the Albigensians wanted the empire to crumble. So suddenly we have a card that's usually about, you would think, spirituality, coming together, and commitment. Someone who marries someone, that's what priests do. But to the Albigensians, in their language, they wanted this guy to be crumbled. They wanted the divine feminine to emerge victorious. And that is why, even in, not only this deck is he blinded, but even in the standard Rider-Waite-Smith deck, the key in the Hierophant card is never in his hand. It's always in front of the meek people who sit in front of him. It's in the hands of the people. So, because this was a card in the understanding of the lens of the Albigensians, where they wanted to tear down his power, look at me using my claws, tear down the power of the empire in your life, from the macrocosm of its original language to your microcosmic existence in each of your lives, as above, so below type stuff. What it refers to is the necessity for this person's material life to be torn down so that the spiritual life can come out on top. And why would that be the case? Because a person who can't tell the truth, keeps being selfish, and uses people is functioning from a position of the material world and their obsession with the things around them. That's what makes a person selfish. It's because they're trying to gain something in the material world around them instead of working from the internal spiritual side. So that, when I say, I do think that you guys at some point in the future would like to regain something with this person, they are going to have to tear this side of them out and pluck it out and toss it. Lest you, like the old expression goes, end up feeding pearls to swine. It's not going to work until this person deals with unblinding themselves. And that's usually through consequence, to be quite frank. Because if not you having their usury and lies blow up on them, by continuing a habit of usury and lies, eventually someone they use will have the situation blow up on them. That leads me to the final sentiment. Okay, this person in the short term is not going to just become your, best cheerleader here. In the long term, the final question is, will you guys eventually resolve this? Will they learn? And oh my God, there is some really thick energy right now, and these cards want to fall out everywhere. Will they learn and institute with you is that the right word I should say? Institute with you? Will they incorporate with you, is a better way of putting it, a good, decent relationship? Yes, they will, but it's, okay, Hanged Man, new perspective. In the reversal, you got in the reversal. In the upright, they would remain stuck. In the reversal, they do begin to master themselves, which is freaking lovely. Out of the death of decay of crap that gets the best of them, they will eventually flourish aspects of themselves. But it is going to take a long time because the Ace of Cups has shown up again. And in the reversal, again, it is a time delay. It is a lengthy period of time. And in the middle is the Six of Coins. Do you know what the Six of Coins means? When it's in the reversal. Oh my God, I'm not even kidding you. I know you guys are going to be like, for tarot readers, you're going to be like, power imbalances, power dynamics, unfair give and take. Guys, in the reversal, yes, those things are true, but the utmost meaning of money imbalanced is usury. It is the second card of somebody mucking with money or being really greedy. Usury, and the original idea of usury, again to the Albigensians, is taxation. It is not just taking a little bit from someone or taking a little bit of someone's energy. It's like taking so much of energy from someone or so much money that you get compound interest on it. Literally, this person is like gaining and double gaining in order to not only kind of let you get the shit end of the stick, but like get further benefits in the future off of this. It's like, it's one thing when a person selfishly gets something in the now. It's another thing if the thing that they do in the now keeps getting worse and compounding, like compound interest. That's the problem in the middle that this person is dealing with. Yes, they will have a new perspective on how they're dealing with this. Yes, there will be resolution, but it's a time delay. There is going to be probably a hard fallout for quite a period of time with this person until they adopt another view. Last card in is the Chariot, which is resolving the riddles of what? The power imbalance, the usury, the selfishness. And the Chariot also has to do with battling the beast of ourselves. That's why there is Sphinx energy connected to the Chariot card. The Sphinx is the lion. The lion-headed serpent to the Albigensians was a character that caused suffering to occur through our bodies in the realms of greed, avarice, lust, gluttony, the 7 deadly sins. This person has to tackle some of those 7 deadly sins in order to push forward, go forward with the Chariot. And when you look at the image on that card, does it look like that's an easy battle? The Chariot card on the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, it's like, okay, let's hop in a car, let's go forward. But the Chariot on this deck is like, shit, this person has to battle through an uphill battle with his own serpent-like opponent of like his own self, his own greed, his own frustrations, him, her, tackling against their own self. Their habits, that could be more than just, by the way, habits of like lust, habits of eating. We could be talking, again, money habits, substance use habits, right? People pleasing, wounds from childhood. That's uphill battle here. And a lot of the times it requires dealing with the things in your life that are happening in a cyclical way, and substances, any kind of addictions, moodiness that's being like facilitated by things they might be doing, consuming, practicing in habits. Those are cyclical in nature. So yeah, that's going to help them. It really is, but eventually it'll offset them from compoundly being selfish towards you. In the meantime, though, this is a them thing. This is like, for you, you do the best to tackle what you can in life. For the person who's being greedy and only thinking for their own self, they have to deal with this uphill battle on their own. And there will be ways that the universe will help them and bring this person here into their life and that person there into their life to do this, that, and the other thing. But it kind of reminds me of a card in another deck, which is a terrifying card to look at. It's a very dark deck. I don't even use it on YouTube. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll do a series on it. But the Kali Oracle deck has a character in the Kali traditions called Chamunda, who looks like a creature that is decaying. It's very scary to look at because it drinks the blood of demons in that particular story in Hinduism. And the story of this blood demon drinking Chamunda energy is the reality that when people do things that are so tangled, like lying, stealing, treating people like shit, the energy of this Chamunda eventually comes in and causes a problem so big that it burns everything down and there is no room for illusion anymore. It's like when a person puts gambling money and bets $15,000 on something and loses, and all they can say to themselves was, oh shit, that was my fault. That's exactly how that energy works. And I feel like that might be what this person is going to have happen. They will get to a point where their problems are so tangled that they will know without a hair of a doubt that the problem is within them and they can blame nobody but themselves. So I'm going to leave you off with that, because the rest of it is just you move forward and do your own life. And this person's going to deal with something that you do not want to be around when it goes down for them, to be honest. So many blessings to you guys. If you are interested in a monthly reading, oh, this would be the perfect time I get a monthly reading. If I wanted to know, like, is this person going to have a repercussion in like January, February, March? Like, when is shit going to hit the fan for them? That would be the perfect time to do a 6-month or a 12-month reading, because I can look into each month for the entire year and see, you know, if there's a month you're moving, if there's a month of reconciliation. But I also do have a sale on right now because my birthday just happened last week and Halloween was last night. And that sale, if it's still on by the time you're watching this, which I'm going to do way past the end of the month, is for 3 questions for $20. I usually do 2 questions for $20, so I added an extra question in. But even if the sale is not on, the 2 questions for $20 will always still be there. And so I've got a couple different options. The description for that is in, or the link to all of that is in the description below, or in the link in any of my bios. And if you don't want a reading like that, feel free to just chat with me on Instagram. I'm a chatty girl. I say it at the end of every video. I don't have a wall up to gain access to me. You just message me and I will chat your ear off, because I live in a house of kids and sometimes I like some adult interaction. Thank you guys very much for chatting with me today. I will talk to you guys later. Ciao for now.